There's an old saying I got from an attorney mentor friend of mine, David Smith, down in Norman, and he said a half-truth is like half a brick. You can throw it twice as far with twice the accuracy. I had been accused as a judge of calling cops liars, and I'll tell you that that never happened, ever. But I did point out to a fellow judge that a half-truth very often, or a reckless falsehood or a careless falsehood, can often be worse than a deliberate lie. And let me tell you why that's the case. When a person tells a deliberate lie, there's always a motive. When I had a client that would tell me, well, so-and-so's lying, and I always ask them, well, why would they lie about that? And there has to be a motive for a deliberate lie. It's either jealousy, or it's just bias, or it's family feuds, or because the truth is ugly for the other person telling the falsehood. Why do people tell reckless falsehoods? Why do they tell careless falsehoods? Why do they tell half-truths? Well, a lot of times people don't want to look stupid. A lot of time people think they should know the answer and they don't, and they think they can make a pretty good guess at it. They can hazard a guess, and we call it hazarding a guess for a reason. But when there's a trial, especially a criminal trial, when there's only one trap door and it's rickety and it's got a hair trigger, and the only person in the room sitting on that trap door is the criminal defendant. Nobody else is sitting on a trap door. So when an officer or some other witness is sitting in a witness chair and they're asked a question and they probably should know the answer, or they wrote down in their police reports a long time ago that it was a red car, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but at the time they thought it was a red car, they wrote it down. And they're taught in CLEAT, don't ever change your mind, especially when being asked questions by the criminal defense lawyer. They used to be taught that. I don't know if they're taught that anymore. Stick to your guns. Don't waver in your testimony. The motives for telling a reckless falsehood or a careless falsehood or a half-truth are much more insidious. It has to do with ego. Don't want to look stupid. I want to look like I'm in charge. And we use words like the subject was proceeding westbound on the inside lane, things like that. And they don't talk like regular human beings. They talk like robots. And they don't want to look like a fallible human being. Some of the best testimony I've ever heard, especially from law enforcement witnesses, is when they say, well, I don't know the answer to that question. You'll have to ask somebody else. I wasn't looking in that direction. And that officer gets credibility, more and more credibility every few seconds. They get more credibility. But the know-it-all that gets up there and says they know everything, that becomes very dangerous. And it's very hard to cross-examine somebody who's telling reckless falsehoods. So beware of the reckless falsehoods, the careless falsehoods, the half-truths. They can be thrown with such accuracy, and yet it's still a falsehood. So be aware of that. And I hope this video has been a little bit helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I've sat at the feet and studied with some of the greatest trial lawyers and titans in this country. I've learned from some of the members of the inner circle of advocates. And you can't be where I've been and studied with who I've studied with and shared a courtroom with the people I've shared them with for over 20 years and not know a few things about winning successful jury trials. It's time for me to share what I've learned with you. I'm retired Judge Kenneth Adair, and I want to help you be a better trial lawyer for your clients. Learn more at Trial.Win or subscribe to this channel to get regular updates about my latest trial strategy videos.